What is up, friends? Welcome back to The Drive. I am Geoff Fienberg. With me is Andy Lack. It is another major week PGA Championship, and this one feels really special. I mean, the PGA Championship has, got to give them credit, done a nice job in course selection. We've gotten some great finishes and leaderboards, all that fun stuff. And now Brooks, Rory, Scotty off of wins, which has really put some gasoline on some other guys' odds. We'll talk about all of that. With me is Andy Lack, who, before we get into that betting board, why don't you take us down a little bit of what Valhalla, I guess. Give us a little breakdown, because I'm not the course snob that you are. I don't say that as an insult, but what I will say is I just sort of judge major championships as, you get a bit older, some of them blur together, but I sort of judge them by who won and what were the leaderboards like. And we got exciting finishes with a Tiger and a Rory win with great leaderboards, and an exciting finish, obviously, in 2000. So by my standard, this place is great. But I'm hearing on the internet today, I'm going to be bored of seeing the same shot quickly, both into greens and around the greens. So that could be a problem.
Yeah. First of all, it's great to be joined by you today, Geoff, as always. I am incredibly psyched for this week, and I say that with the caveat that I think from an architectural standpoint, this is the worst golf course that we've ever seen host a major championship, potentially. Now, that's from an architecture standpoint, right? So people watching this video don't really care about my architectural opinions on the golf course. And I should also caveat the fact that whether a golf course has good architecture or sound strategic architecture is not what makes a good major or a good major venue. I'll give you an example of the inverse of this. Los Angeles Country Club is an architectural masterpiece. It's one of the top 5 most architecturally sound golf courses in the country. But when half the members buy up all of the tickets and most residents in Los Angeles don't even know that a major's going on, that doesn't necessarily make it a good major venue, right? So, I reserve the right to say that what this golf course lacks in strategic value and entertainment in terms of the intrigue of the golf shots that you're going to be hit, there is the potential for this to be an unbelievable major based on the fact of how the club and the people of Louisville, Kentucky decide to wrap their arms around this major championship. I've heard that they've sold more tickets to this PGA Championship than any other PGA Championship in the past. I've heard that it is a big piece of property where it will be very easy to bring in a lot of people and hold a lot of people, a lot of good high points in the property to watch golf shots. I am not in Louisville, Kentucky this week. I think if I attempted to swing another golf trip, my romantic relationship would be over. So I'm happy to watch this one from home, but I have been speaking to a number of folks on the grounds from Valhalla today, and the reports are a tad concerning, Jeffrey, on TPC Craig Halla. I would say I will give out a free bet for the listeners today, and I am taking the over winning score. I would be shocked if this golf course produces a single digits under par winner. I just don't see how, with the amount of rainfall that they're going to get, I think it's not going to be super dissimilar to the -16 that we saw from Rory McIlroy in 2014.
Yeah. And I would acknowledge, I don't know. It seems like the PGA Championship has done such a good job in both setup and selection in delivering the last few years that
they're allowed. Nobody bats 1,000.
Yeah. And like that, the pitch hasn't even been thrown yet as it pertains to this week. And I remember that great Rory, Phil, Ricky finish last time. And if the course is a little boring and we get as exciting of a finish with 3 preeminent players, I think we'll all, have our juices flow in dinner time on Sunday night.
Right. And there's just one more thing to add. There's a reason why the PGA Championship can't go to Pine Valley, right? Which is the best golf course in the country. Like, it's not just about whether the golf course architecture people like me like the golf course. The criteria for hosting a major championship venue is, does it have the infrastructure to hold thousands of people? And is the golf course long enough to at least keep technological advances at bay? And I think it succeeds. Valhalla succeeds on number one. I don't think it succeeds on number two.
But
I
not many places on earth can succeed in number two in
correct.
today's moment, right?
Correct.
When we see
Correct.
Rory hitting like gap wedges on 500-yard par fours.
Yeah.
I agree something needs to be done. That's a different conversation for a different show, and probably for you to have it with someone smarter than me. But we're going to break down the golf betting board this weekend. We're going to do it responsibly, Andy, because I'm not going to let some bad picks ruin me watching like Scotty versus Rory and Brooks for a major championship on Sunday. I'm going to enjoy it. I think it's going to be fabulous. I think we will see some horses in the race the same way like Mito Pereira rose to the occasion for 71 holes a handful of years ago. I think that profile, we'll see that sort of profile peak here. But let's just do it under 20 to 1. There's no secrets really about any of these guys. Find it hard to believe someone would want to bet Schauffele over Brooks at the same number, but going below like anything. I am not, how do I put this? I'm going to step in front. I'm afraid of Scotty Scheffler, but I do kind of acknowledge this might be the chance where he does get got. This is probably the best chance for him to get got. That being said, I think winning the week after the Masters is more impressive than winning 10 days after your wife had a baby. I mean that. Like, I mean that. I mean that. In my opinion.
On that golf course too, which mitigates a lot of what Scheffler does best. I agree. I think that this is the least likely of the remaining three major championships for Scotty to win, not just because, Meredith just had a baby. I think that there are some course setup concern. It's all relative, right, Geoff? Like, we're talking about the difference between, is this a golf course like Pinehurst or Augusta, where if Scotty plays well, he's probably going to win by 5 strokes? Or is this a golf course like Valhalla, where, if Rory plays well or Bryson plays well, it's a little bit easier for those guys to go toe to toe with Scotty on a golf course like this, because it so heavily accentuates distance, as opposed to, and around the green is so easy here, that the way that Scotty was able to separate at the Masters by gaining 8 strokes around the greens, he's not going to be able to separate in that way at this type of golf course. I'm not betting Scotty. I looked right past him. I'm not betting Rory. I'm not betting Brooks. I'm not betting Xander. I'm betting Jon Rahm at 20 to 1.
Let's go, Andy. Let's go. I am with you here. I am with you. I got my futures, so I'm pretty committed to the week. But I wasn't going to be like a lot of these golf guys out there pretending, who are bragging at Christmas, that they bet Viktor Hovland, and they don't have Viktor Hovland like 27 to 1 dead tickets. That's another story. What I mean to say is, I wanted to make a bet this week, and Jon Rahm was the bet that I made. I will take my chance. We play this outright golf game. It's about the ceiling. I got to trust it. If you follow me, I've been trying to have a lot of conversations, both on shows I've been on and on Twitter, trying to figure out, what does 8th place mean on Live? I don't know. I don't know. I know when you win on Live, that's an accomplishment, because I know there's a handful of guys there. You beat them in any given week. That's an accomplishment. I don't know what 8th place means, but I've been asking that question because been trying to talk myself into a Jon Rahm bet for 2 weeks, and they popped a 20, and I said, let's dance, Andy. But you put the finer sell on this selection for the audience.
Listen, I just think that you're getting potentially the second best player in the world at 20 to 1 on a golf course that is very similar to Bellerive, right? Where he has finished 6th before on Zoysia fairways. Muirfield Village, where it's this Jack Nicklaus golf course with thicker rough that favors this power fade off the tee. this is a perfect, when you map out the holes, this is a perfect golf course for the way that Jon Rahm likes to attack off the tee. I have dove as deep as one possibly can, regrettably, into the live numbers, and there's a bit of it where I kind of throw my hands up a little bit like you, and I'm like, what does any of this mean? But at the end of the day, like, he has not been playing his best golf, and it is difficult. It is still difficult for him to finish outside of the top 10 on a tour that still has a lot of good players that I mean, a whole other podcast. I think it's to be a really strong showing from Liv this week. I
Oh,
bet 3 Liv guys.
yeah.
But listen, I mean, the thing is Brooks Rahm, it's tight for me, man. I have the utmost respect for Brooks this week. There's a little stupid part of my brain that thinks it's impossible for Brooks to get to 6 this early. And if Brooks wins this week, he becomes like the 12th greatest golfer of all time. And I don't know if I'm ready for that to happen yet at 34 years old. I mean, Brooks would tie Phil this week at 6. Phil started winning majors at the age that Brooks is at right now. And so
Crazy.
there's just a little part of my brain that's like, not yet, man, not yet. But the fact that Rahm jumped up to 20 and I missed the Brooks's 20,
Yeah,
you
trade him
know,
off. Trade him off.
I'm
I'm with
just,
you
I'm
on the
gonna
trade
go
off.
with Rahm here. I'm gonna go with Rahm.
I mean, listen, I think it's going to be a low-hanging fruit joke potentially on Sunday night that next year we should call this major like the Live Championship, where they invite PGA Tour players to play in it because of Brooks winning last year and what I'm expecting those guys to do this week. I think it's a lovely setup. Maybe I'm diving too hard into that, but the history I think we hopefully be talking about, Andy, is Jon Rahm headed to the Open Championship looking to complete a Grand Slam. That's what I'm thinking about, but staying in this range is with the 2s in front of it. Again, I'm pretty committed with some future, so don't got really room. But I do Jon Rahm, and the decision for me was between Rahm and Bryson.
Yeah.
I think Bryson should be play beautifully here. I feel like that's a future I missed. I don't know. Should have seen that coming, maybe. Knowing if I knew anything about Valhalla, those that did, I'm sure, were happy knowing what they were getting into with some early Bryson picks. But I think he should play great here, and I like him more than Morikawa, Homa, all these other really great players in that range.
I bet Bryson a future. I didn't get that. There were some friends that grabbed 66s and 50s. I have a 35, which I still beat the
Great.
market
Yeah.
by a little bit. I like him down to 30. Like, I'd bet Bryson this week at 30 if I didn't have the 35. I just think this is a phenomenal golf course for him. And I think that you need to view every bet that you make, and my card is constructed this way, but every bet that you make needs to be through the prism of, do you think that this guy can go toe to toe with Scotty in a Sunday pairing? And do you think that when this guy is playing his best golf, it can be as good or better than Scotty Scheffler? And I do. Like with Bryson, I do. Bryson's one of the few. Bryson won a US Open on a similar setup by 5. And when Bryson is at his best, he's not just the best driver in the world, he's the best putter in the world. And I do think that Bryson's ceiling outcome for an event like this on a setup like this is win this golf tournament by a couple strokes. And I'm gonna, I didn't love Augusta from a course fit perspective from Bryson, and he almost won that thing. So I Bryson and Rahm, I have 3 more guys I bet at bigger numbers. One of them's another Liv guy. The other 2 value plays on some beaten down PGA Tour horses. But Bryson and Rahm are my guys this week.
Yeah, I totally see that, Andy. And I'll tell you this, sticking on this Live trend, feel like you could be on this also. My pick to win this entire tournament this week is Joaquin Niemann.
Let's go.
I have an 80-1 future.
40 to 1.
I re-up this week
it.
at the
Yeah.
I re-up today at 40. I'm like, I'm gonna tout this 40 so hard. He's gonna be my one and done. I'll get right back in. So I'll ride or die with the numbers this week. To me, he's been made for a PGA Championship. 2 years ago, I probably did a video on oddschecker saying like I want to sign a 10-year contract with him to bet him at the next PGA Championships for a decade. Well, it's year 3, and I'm like, really? He's my one. Like, give me one pick to win. For me, it's this guy this week. So I think his game is perfect, and he's onto that live pile of man. I think it's going to be live versus like Scotty and Rory this week, and
Yeah.
I'm really excited for the narrative street we could get from that on the weekend. I'm not going to lie. So those yeah, that would be my other bet in front of 50 to 1.
Yes, sir. I've got Niemann at 40. The two remaining players that I have are 43 and 95. But they were kind of wild numbers on Bookmaker that I was able to secure. But I don't have a ton more to add on Niemann other than I love this golf course for him. I think that his combination of power and accuracy off the tee, his long iron play. I mean, back when he was on the PGA Tour, all of his best putting performances came on bent grass. He's had so much success on these types of thicker, rough, longer golf courses, be it Olympia Fields or Muirfield Village. And again, just like Rahm, he has displayed that he showed up for work on Live this season, right? Like he has displayed that his floor on Live is basically T10. I think there's a chance that right now he is a top 5 player in the world. We just don't really know how to quantify that. And if you give me a 40, I'm in there. But the next guy, I bet we probably should devote a little bit of time to.
Lay it on me.
I bet Hovland today at 43 to 1.
Okay.
What futures are you holding?
I got like 27, from
Yeah.
last summer.
Yeah.
I don't know. I even looked at something in the 40s today just to maybe add
I was
to
going
it,
to say,
I'm a ride or die.
Did you feel like seeing it balloon to 40, 43 make you want to re-up or
I
just
know that he
forget about it?
struck it beautifully on Sunday, and if I'm betting Viktor Hovland, I'm not really betting him to scramble. Although the greens are small, and you're probably going to have to scramble, and to win the tournament, you're certainly going to have to make a couple like really clutch momentum saving par saves or something on the weekend. I don't doubt that for a moment. I don't know if he can do it, but I've also been pretty adamant that there will be no warning signs. He will just sort of do it. And maybe you could argue the ball striking last week is the warning sign you could ask for.
Yeah. I mean, I put it this way, Geoff. I do majors preview podcasts in December. And I talked about in December how if I was building a golf course for Viktor Hovland, it would be Valhalla. The thick rough around the greens, the Oak Hill comp, the Olympia Fields comp, the Muirfield Village comp, the Zoysia fairways where he won at East Lake. And, he's stunk this year. Let's just put it bluntly. Has not finished top 10 on the PGA Tour all season. But based on course fit and talent, if you had told me that I was getting 40 plus on the player that I would have told you in December, I would have almost bet at 20 to 1 to win this tournament based on course fit and talent. Remember, we're 4.5 months removed from like consensus on Hovland being a top 2 player in the world. I just think you do it. I think you eat it and I think you swallow it. I think
Do you know what's actually weirdly enough giving me some conviction that he'll be fine and the drift is a good thing?
Yeah.
Let's think back to the Masters a month ago.
Like
Morikawa and Homa got into like the 60s, 70s, maybe 80s, like
terrible form, not playing good.
Yeah, for obvious reasons. People didn't want them. They just did not look good. But with players at that level, like sometimes you just trust the drift. I tell you, like if they throw a 90, 100 on Hideki this week, from an outright betting's perspective, Andy, we make a lot of bad bets and miscuts. Like, how do you not blindly almost like just be like, okay, well, maybe he is fine and that's crazy, or at least he's healthy for 4 days. But yeah, I thank you for trying to nudge me that we're okay with Hovland. You've got one at 90, but I'm going to give the 2 names before.
Yeah, give me yours.
That I haven't even bet yet. Well, one of them I haven't bet, and people laugh at me, but we're dating, and we've been dating a lot this year, and we're probably just going to keep dating. He's played in 8 major championships. He's finished in the top 10 in 5 of them. So Cameron Young, I'm seeing on this odds checker grid right now, FanDuel's got a 60. I don't think that is unfair based on what he does. Very frustrating golfer, but we're just in a relationship and you stand by people you're in relationships with in the moment. And one that I do have, I've been sitting on it for a while, and it's the exact
You
same
can
number.
always, Jeff, I broke up with Rory at the Masters, and let me just tell you, he posted some really provocative thirst traps last weekend, Jeff.
Yeah, it's easy though. Like it's 60 to 1. It's like it doesn't cost me what it costs. I don't have to like 5x the bet to get my return like you do on Rory. It could just sort of be in the pile, and I can support
you don't have
way.
you don't have to take Cam Young out to a nice steak dinner and go on vacation with him. Like you could do a little parlance with them and just, hey babe, you up at 3 a.m.
But my other one, 80 to 1, he's still 80 to 1, checking that odds checker grid. So sitting on it, and it's the same number. He didn't do much, but it's Minwoo Lee. He's a guy.
Love that bet.
Yeah, so he's a guy I want to trust. Listen, Sahith, Willie Z, a lot of guys here that I'd be tempted to bet and find that top number on the odds checker grid. But those would be the guys 60 to 100 who 50 to 100 pretty much who I'd be looking at. Andy, you mentioned you had a 90 to 1, so drop it on me.
Yeah, I bet Will Zalatoris at 95 to 1 on Bookmaker, which crazy. I mean, Bookmaker just had some I'd bet Zalatoris at 60 this week, I suppose. He had a terrible round at Quail Hollow on Sunday, but here's what I would say about Zalatoris. I've gotten to know his caddy a little bit over the past couple of weeks, and I got to watch him in a practice round at Augusta. I'm not saying that he's going to have the major championship career that Brooks Koepka has, but he views golf the same way that Brooks Koepka does. It is 4 weeks or bust. And over his short career, he is, along with Brooks, the biggest riser in terms of his statistical baseline in major championships. And how many times have we seen a proven major performer that is not playing his best golf show up to a major, and it's like, oh yeah, like this guy always plays well at majors on these golf courses. Like, what are we doing? So, if you give me almost 100 to 1 on by strokes gained, the 3rd best major player of the last 5 years, don't overthink it. Don't overthink it.
I would argue that Cam Young and Willie Z are almost like food court versions of Xander Schauffele. Like where they've resulted in majors, their ability to show up, it's just a cheaper dinner than that fancy steak house. It's more like a food court bourbon chicken that I'm taking Cammy out with. But yeah, you met with Willie. You're almost just betting the major baseline. You really are.
Yeah.
I mean, that was my sell with Cam, but yeah, totally. Guy his baseline major play is outstanding. And we use the grid, even if Andy mentions other places, use that grid to know some of these other places are giving you a good of a number, but using that grid, Willie's, he's still at 80. Seems like a fantastic.
Oh God, he's 80. Yeah. I mean, that's still
fantastic, right? Now, if that's something you want, we've been going a long time. It's major weeks. We always got to get out though. I'm going to give a bomb. Andy's going to give a bomb. I think a lot of these bombs, like I said, I think a lot of guys are going to rise to the occasion and have their moments this week. For me, let's find it. 175 to 1, Steven Yeager, the driver, the around the green. He would be a guy I'll be looking to do in placings. But there's a lot of really tempting names back here that I wish I was. If I was a value hunter, I'd bet none of the chalk and I'd go after, but it's not how I do it. Not how I do it.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love the Jaeger play. I'll go Keith Mitchell 170 to 1.
There he is, back on the Mitchell train. He is striking it absolutely beautifully. Guy like, you think like if a guy like Mitchell or Siwoo or something pop, I won't be surprised that like statistically it'll been there the whole time in some respects. So no complaints, Andy. Let's get out. You give me one winner here, buddy.
I'll stick with Bryson. I said Bryson in December. I have seen nothing this year that would cause me to deviate. So Bryson DeChambeau picks up his second major of his career, and we thank you, Bryson, for all you do online.
Yeah, we thank you, Bryson. I said it earlier, like it was one pick, give me Niemann. So do this quickly then, Andy. Who has a better week, Rory or Scotty?
Oh gosh, that's tough. I'm gonna say Scotty, but I'm close on that one. I'm close on that one. I've been really hurt by Rory in the past. I really have, and um I will never not believe in him, but it has been really freeing for me to let go this major and just be like, if it happens, I don't need a financial investment
Yeah.
to be happy. And but I don't expect it. And it will surprise me. In fact, I'm heading into this major expecting the worst.
Ooh.
And I think that's going to be freeing for me. So I'm going to say Scheffler on the basis of I just can't let myself get talked into expecting that from him. I think Scheffler is, I mean, forget Vegas odds, but like Scheffler's more likely to outperform Rory this week. He just is.
Yeah,
What about you?
I agree. Although, like a lot of
I
golf
don't think
fans,
either are winning.
yeah, like a lot of golf fans, like I'd love to see Rory win. Like if my
Oh
horses
yeah.
are
I
out of
mean,
this, like I know you're like I've always, especially with a lot of the nonsense behind the scenes, they should be lucky. He should be allowed to do whatever he wants. If he wants to leave an executive board and then decide he wants back, they should be like kissing his feet as he wanted to walk back in the room. So him, yeah, I'll enjoy a great successful Rory week. And oh man, I think those live guys though, they seem to be popular, but for good reason. They make way too much sense on this golf course. For Andy, I'm Geoff Fienberg. We'll be back next week. Smash that like button, subscribe. We're out.